All right, we are live. Welcome back to the 4th episode of the Allie Dan podcast.
Welcome back.
Welcome to you, I must say.
Oh, well, thank you. Well, welcome to you.
We've got Mike. Mike's working properly. We are still in McCall, Idaho, finishing up our month-long house sit here. That's been going absolutely wonderful.
Yeah, it is. We have 2 more nights, which is pretty crazy. I've enjoyed our time and I'm very grateful for it, but I am sincerely looking forward to a change of scenery because that means, I guess we're just getting closer to the baby being here.
Wow. Yeah, it feels pretty surreal to be heading into September, almost done with summer. I always look forward to summer because it's probably my favorite time of year, but then towards the end of summer, I'm always like, I'm ready for like sweatshirt weather and the holidays are always nice.
I am always ready for sweatshirt weather. I like summer, don't get me wrong. I just don't like the hot summer. I do prefer winter over summer. Yeah. But just could deal with anything below 80. Mm-hmm. And anywhere and everywhere in life.
That's what makes Baja so nice during the winter is it's always like 75, sunny during the day, windy.
Super tolerable because then at night it cools down because it's desert.
I know, yeah.
Yeah.
If you're looking for a place to go in the winter and you've never been, I think driving the Baja Peninsula is one of the best ways to spend a couple weeks up to a couple months, depending on how much time you can get away with and what your schedule looks like.
For sure.
So we are heading out from here to Hood River for 2 nights or so. We'll see. Maybe I guess 2 nights.
It is 2 nights at first, yeah. So Dan was on crutches when we left Hood River in May. May. Mm-hmm. And so it's actually quite interesting. We might need to go visit the site of the...
Well, hopefully I'll be kiting there, making my comeback.
Well, the Van fam kind of agreed with me that maybe that's not quite the best thing.
I know, but the situation has intensified in terms of what I foresee myself doing.
Van fam, secretly you can join me in wishing for there being no wind, because if there's no wind, Dan can't kite.
It's going to be Labor Day weekend too, leading into Labor Day weekend, which is always crazy with all the people around and kite disasters and all sorts of stuff. We'll see what happens. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I'm just not sure it's a good idea with your back throwing these.
Back's good. I'm just going to pump swell and just cruise around on the board.
Well, I think it's important also to visit because something has happened to that boat.
Yes, that's a big development. We got pictures from friends that the boat has been flipped, so it's no longer kind of suctioned into the sand. And as far as I know, it's still in the water, but the engine looked like it was like right off to the side of it, and it's in a few feet of water, so it's easy to get back onto shore. So yeah, it'll be cool.
It doesn't look mobile, but it is, it's flipped and it's, I don't know, we'll have to get some footage and go check it out ourselves, to be honest. But it's, I don't know. Hopefully there's no wind and then we don't have to worry about Dan kiting.
I don't think so, Van Fam. No, we don't know what's going to happen yet. But yeah, that's the next. And then, of course, you guys know we don't want to touch on this too much because we went over it all on Sunday Night Live with you guys. But then we're heading to Hawaii, and that's going to be a really fun adventure because I think we're going to be able to make some good content.
Definitely. I'm looking forward to doing what we're doing. And really, a lot of what comes after the baby's born is kind of riding on what happens in Hawaii. So it'll be nice to make some decisions and then be able to start doing a little bit more planning. I feel okay about it all. It's just we really don't know where we're going to be.
No, but I know we're going to be doing something fun, and it's going to be an enjoyable time. It's going to be crazy, obviously, having our first kid. We did post the video featuring Discount Lots, which we're very grateful to work with Discount Lots. And we thought that was a really cool opportunity to get insight on where some affordable land is. And so that's kind of what kicked this whole thing off. But the Van Fam did leave a lot of good comments on that video of things to be kind of weary of.
Nice. Yeah, that's we'll have to go through all those. And I mean, we appreciate the support of the internet and of course our Van Fam, and have to look into a lot of it.
Yeah. I mean, even though I whine about the channel views sometimes, I'm really grateful, just to round it in. I'm really grateful because we do get a lot of brand deals. I just got another one from a cool looking company that reached out for the initial, see if we're interested in working with them. And so it's really cool to get those emails. And if you guys don't know, because I didn't know this before I started a channel, but you get paid on YouTube views, but also there's such a new market being formed that's, I would say, like, at the most it's 10 years old, but it's really the last few years, I think it's really taken off, where companies and brands are seeing the value of working with creators of any size. And we get paid what I think is a fair amount. It varies depending on, the brand and everything like that. But we, even small channels like ours, we get reached out to a lot. We get a lot of cool opportunities. So I think starting a YouTube channel for me is one of the most exciting things I've done in my life. And I've done a lot of cool stuff in terms of like how I make money. But this really fulfills me.
Yeah.
Does it fulfill you?
Yeah, it's very fulfilling. I mean, I wish that we could see growth as in progress.
Yeah.
I mean, I think anybody in anything they do likes to see progress. It's not very fun to be stagnant or even taking steps back, but sometimes you have to be in those difficult phases to move forwards.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I mean, if we just got instant success, and in a way we did with the Gabby Petito case that was going so viral, we covered that. But if we had just done that, and then all of a sudden we're just getting like our channel's just off and running, we're getting all these views, I personally wouldn't have. There's no like hardship to get there, and so I wouldn't have appreciated it. Like, when it happens, which we know it will, we'll just continue to grow. I know that I'll have a much deeper appreciation for the work and the skill that we had to learn and the time we put in and all the talking behind the scenes that we do about what can work and stuff. So yeah. I am grateful, that life's not easy.
Yeah, I mean, I think it definitely wouldn't be as gratifying if we just got crazy.
Can we talk about your vlogging skills, though? I mean, guys,
oh, no.
Allie's vlogging skills you're just doing so good on the vlog now. Remember when we started?
Oh my gosh, I was a basket case. Well, I just wasn't, I had never really put myself in front of the camera on purpose.
I know.
And you are born to be in front of the camera. So I was like,
oh my gosh.
Well,
Prima donna,
I'll just let Dan do it, and I'll just kind of be in the background. And then for a while there, you would give me tips on how to get better, and I'd be like, okay, well, now I don't feel like doing anything because he thinks I suck.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
We got over that phase, but...
Did we?
Yeah.
Should we pause the podcast and get into a little tiff? No, I'm just kidding. No, you've definitely increased your skill. I wouldn't say anything otherwise, because we're both getting better at it all the time, but we really look at our craft and say, what can we do? Like, I think one thing, to be critical of ourselves is we need to bring more energy to our episodes. One thing I'm working on a lot is like structuring the episode before we film it, so we're not just like randomly shooting stuff, and we've slowly been getting better at this.
And that also helps me, because I used to think that we needed to like A, vlog everything, and B, vlog, like, know exactly what we were doing, and then Dan would just kind of be like, we're doing this or we're doing that, and then he would change his mind every single time, and it was hard for me to be like, wait, what? So I just kind of trailed along behind you.
Yeah, it is difficult when it's like I kind of think of a lot of the ideas, but I do
and you change
value.
Your mind for
yeah,
new
I changed
ideas,
my mind,
which is fine. I just was like, I couldn't quite
yeah,
follow along, or I don't know, give as much as myself to the ideas in the vlogs, because it was sprung upon me anyway.
But that's why our shorts are usually pretty in and out job, because we have the topics written down. We're like, okay, here's what we want to like share, and then here's how we're gonna do it, and then we just go and shoot it. So if we can take the shorts method and apply it to our long form content,
but it's
hopefully
like
that helps.
A lot of the time, it's also, well, it's like following our lives around, but sometimes we're like, okay, how can we make this into a video? Because you can't just like literally follow around with the camera. You just do still have to put some thought into how it's going to go.
That's something we can both improve on, is structuring our like not scripting, but in a sense like structuring it in kind of a way you would structure a movie, like different scenes, and what's the best way to approach this. And that's why I don't watch Kara and Nate too often, but one thing I'm learning from them is that they like put themselves in certain situations, and then that makes the vlog interesting. Like they'll go run, let's say for a basic example, they'll go live in a really cool Airbnb for a night or two, and then share that. And we've actually explored doing that. We almost got really close to an opportunity in Breckenridge, Colorado during the winter, but it didn't end up happening, which is okay. It'll happen at some point. But that, that's kind of a cool way to find your video theme, is by putting yourself in a cool situation and then sharing it.
Yeah, for sure. And so, sometimes we can come up with ideas. Sometimes we have the ability to do stuff like that, and sometimes it doesn't really work quite in that sense.
You might not have the opportunity, and so you got to kind of make something out of nothing, like basically when you don't have much going on. But I think anything can be made interesting, and I watch a lot of, and this is actually a question I wanted to ask you, but we watch a lot of different types of vloggers, and I see a lot of creative ways of making kind of basic things interesting. So who do you love to watch the most on YouTube?
Oh, for me, it's Van Wives. I'm really interested in what they're doing, but B, I just think they make the most creative vlogs. I think their filming and their editing are so interesting, and I'm really impressed with how they've continually gotten better, because I watched one of theirs, from ages ago, and it was nothing like what they are now.
Oh, really?
So it's just really impressive to see that how they have grown, and then it gives inspiration for us to grow.
Yes, 100%.
And I mean, you do all the editing, and you do most of the filming, but I am trying to step in more and, be a part of it more.
Yeah. No, it's. I do think Van Wives are quite well composed episodes, and what I'm learning from a lot of vloggers is, like, in the niche that we operate in, which is, I guess, kind of lifestyle vlogging, is their thumbnails are all just like a picture. And so maybe we should try. I guess we should try copying, in a sense, what other successful vloggers do, which is like, we don't need to have the perfect title. We can just say, like, let's say if something didn't work out in that episode, like, it didn't work out as our title, with just a picture of us, and see. So we're always interested in trying new things. And you also like aiming and back. The dogs just caused some sort of havoc.
I need to go check and make sure they're okay. Let's pause.
Okay, and we're back. No dogs were harmed in the making of this podcast.
No casualties. They just knocked something over.
You like aiming and back, right?
So
you turned me on to them, so that's why I said that.
It's not that I don't like them. I think they are fun and energetic and make good vlogs. I don't watch them.
Yeah.
But I was really sad to hear about her cancer, and I did start to get a little invested in the story of that, because just is so tragic. But she's fine, and she's doing well and everything. It was just that definitely caught my attention.
That's another.
It's like your accident. You know what I mean? Like any sort of big injury or negative thing, it's like really draws people in.
Yeah. That's another thing I think we can improve on is like telling a story.
Yeah.
A consistent story all throughout every episode. And maybe we do that, and I think a lot of the people, the Van Famers that watch us, are they are following along they know the story that we're kind of telling, I guess. But we could always do more.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's that's our YouTube spiel for the episode.
Anyways, thanks guys for listening.
We can transition into my weight. I'm at 195.5, so I'm down 2 pounds.
You're down 2 pounds.
I'm down 2 pounds.
Congrats. You wouldn't know because Dan has made a batch of cookies every single day for the past.
Gosh. Yes, well, I had butter to use up, so.
We have a fridge in the van.
I know.
We don't really have to use up a lot of food to leave or anything because we've slowly been doing that, but you're just going to go buy more butter.
No, I'm off butter.
Oh.
Well, I did make sugar cookies. I've been loving baking. This has been a month of baking for me. I've baked so much. Cookies have been a lot of the thing. And then, it's like we haven't been to a single bakery. We haven't been out to eat other than a Van Fam. Sherry bought us 2 meals at Frenchie's with a gift card. So Thank you, Sherry.
And they were so good.
They were so good. It was such a great treat.
Thank you, Sherry.
But other than that, we haven't spent any money here, and so
we haven't.
Get our fix.
You want to know what's interesting as well is we've been on multiple hikes, and we walk a lot of the places.
Love to walk.
We go to the grocery store in the car, but in 1 month we have used less than 3/4 of a tank of gas.
Oh my goodness! Yeah.
No, way less than that. Because did you put any gas in that?
Mm-mm.
Because I drove all the way back from Boise on that tank of gas.
It's probably a big tank, but we're going to have to put some in, but not.
For sure.
We'll put a little bit in.
But we've used, I don't know, like a 1/4 tank of gas.
Yeah. No miles on Helen the van, which has been great.
Yeah, it's just
She's
been
parked.
Trips to the grocery store. Anyway, that's
and
so that's really fun to realize that savings, to be honest.
That's money realized.
It's money realized. No, so it's good, and we are excited to make the long trip to Hood River on Wednesday. Only 2 more nights here.
The thing with that trip is we have to meet them in the evening sometime. The thing is we can drop the car off in Boise.
Well, you see, their dog Pele apparently gets anxious. We've never witnessed it because we haven't left her for very long and we don't really know. But I don't want to leave Pele for too long. And they said that flights get delayed and canceled a lot out of Boise. We don't know. We've never flown in and out of Boise, so we can't confirm that. So we'll have to wait and hear what they have to say on Wednesday to make sure that everything is fine with their flights. But we could leave their car, but I was saying we could bring Pele so she's not home alone for however many hours.
Yeah.
I don't know.
That's a lot of different things there. So let's just get in touch with them. But what I was getting at is we have to drive then to Hood River, which is 4.5 hours from Boise. So, because I have an appointment the next morning. So it's going to be a long day. No, it's not bad.
It's just a late evening.
If we're there before midnight, I'm happy.
Yeah, I think we will be.
Mm-hmm. So, I'm down 2 pounds. I don't necessarily feel any thinner, but if I can I need to get under. I've never had to say I need to drop weight. So if I can get under 190 back to 185.
What was your 185? Is
my fighting weight.
Oh, so you're only up 10 pounds.
10.5 pounds. Yeah. So,
speaking of, I feel like I should weigh myself.
Oh yeah, you're up. You're up on the scales. Right?
Rude.
Well, because you're pregnant. Seriously.
But I should be monitoring it a little bit better.
I was really wanting you to say that because I didn't want to say anything, but you should be. So.
That's why you keep bringing up your weight, isn't it?
A little. Let's jump over to our thing. I did want to mention a couple different trending topics here that we wanted to touch on. The first is the U.S. Open. Tennis is starting this week. And let me just jump over here. So, babe, U.S. Open, we've wanted to get tennis rackets and start playing tennis together. What do you think about the U.S. Open? Great event.
I've never been super interested in like organized sports like that, but tennis is something I guess I watched a little bit in Australia.
Right.
Probably because of who I was hanging around. These
Excuse me?
cute gals, these friends,
No guys,
some of my
right?
friends. No, never. And they were really interested in tennis, and it is a cool sport. I like it.
One of the most fun
pretty crappy
sports.
at it, but I do like it.
I'm terrible at it, but I did play for a bit with a friend and got much better. So I do love tennis. But two interesting headlines, if we have any tennis fans out there, is Serena Williams' final U.S. Open.
It's her final.
It's her final one. So she's retiring from tennis. She's
Good
been
for her.
obviously one of the biggest stars in tennis for a long time. I mean, even you know her, so that means she's pretty well known if you have a clue, right? Allie doesn't pay attention to sports at all. 23 Grand Slam titles in her career. So we'll see. It'll be interesting to see how she does in her final one. I mean, it'd be cool for her to go out with the victory, in the U.S. Open, her home tournament. Home Grand Slam, or home major, I guess you call it. And then another headline is Novak Djokovic. I believe he's world number one. I love watching Novak Djokovic play tennis, but he's not in it because he's not allowed in the country because of COVID rules, which I find to be incredibly insane and unfortunate for the sport, and also just for like where we are.
It's unfortunate for the sport. I feel like if somebody that good didn't make it, I was in the top, whatever. Exactly. Bound to play him. I wasn't really, I don't know, able to claim a title of really winning.
Right.
If he's not there to test my skills. Mm-hmm. So that is a bit of a bummer for, the whole U.S. Open men's, I guess.
He's not been allowed into a couple different tournaments because of his vaccination status, which I completely disagree with. I think, obviously that's my opinion. I think it's just, let's see, how do I want to put this? It's just not something I think we should it should give some people certain abilities, like to come into the U.S. and other people can't because of a vaccine. So that's my 2 cents.
So this is me being a little bit ignorant, but everybody who enters the U.S. has to have a vaccination?
If they're not a U.S. citizen.
Okay.
Yeah, and so he's from Serbia.
Okay.
So yeah, like you're saying, I think, it's just like the U.S. Open is such a great tennis tournament, and I've watched it many times in the past, but without Novak playing, especially when it gets to like the finals and stuff, it's just going to be missing that, completeness, because the best tennis player in the world, the best tennis player I've ever seen, isn't competing for something so trivial as the vaccine for COVID.
So there could be U.S. tennis players participating that aren't vaccinated because they
I guess
are
so.
here.
Possibly. I don't know exactly, but that's a good point.
It seems wild. It feels like a lot of people would be willing to make an exception for one person. I mean, if everybody else is vaccinated, why?
Well, and it's just like,
be worried about
I don't
one
know.
person. But
everybody has their own opinions.
Rules are rules, I guess.
Yeah, I just think we're so far into this thing. It's like we need to get back to normal, and I just will never feel that way until we kind of get rid of these restrictions. But anyways, that's the U.S. Open. And another headline that touches home to us is the Bend, Oregon shooting.
This is sad and interesting and tragic and not
pretty crazy.
I don't know if anybody has ever been to Bend. It is one of the most beautiful, lovely.
It's like McCall.
It's really nice to be there. Like
Fantastic
everywhere you look
area.
is beautiful. The the whole town is, it seems it's just like a friendly place, So this is interesting to me that it happened in Bend, because when I saw the headline in Oregon, I thought, oh, of course, Portland or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So it was just very interesting to me that it was Bend, and I know far too many people in Bend for that to feel comfortable. I mean, not that it should just never have happened, but it's crazy.
Victim fought gunman in Oregon grocery store in Bend, Oregon, shooting that left 2 dead, police say. So,
and the
shooter's dead.
The shooter's dead, right?
Yeah.
Did
that
he kill
hits
himself then?
I don't know.
Yeah, okay.
I can scan the article
I
here.
didn't see it in a couple of the articles that I read. Didn't say that he, I don't think they made that claim.
Well, here's an interesting tidbit. A Safeway employee who engaged with the shooter, which is to say he attempted to disarm the shooter and attacked this person, and we believe he prevented further death in addition to the quick police response. Mr. Surratt acted heroically during this terrible incident. So Mr. Surratt is a name that we should, I guess, put out into the sphere, because that's someone who he apparently is a Safeway employee who may have prevented future deaths, and I don't know if he.
The guy could have gone crazy and done so much more. We've been in that exact Safeway, so it's just.
So here's some more info. 2 people, an 84-year-old, a customer who was shot in front of the store, and Safeway employee Donald Ray Surratt Jr., 66, who fought the shooter in the produce section, were both killed. So it was the man who ultimately put a stop to it was killed. So that's really sad. But yeah, Bend, Oregon. That's just so crazy. You can see where Bend is here. It's about 2.5-3 hours from Portland, I believe. From Hood River. It's about 3.5 from Portland.
So it's, I don't know all the gun rules and all these people getting all crazy about gun rights and everything, but it's like, why are people just allowed to, why do people just, I don't know. There's no right or wrong answer to anything. I'm not one way or the other on gun rules, but I wish that are you allowed to carry them in Oregon?
I don't know.
He just had it on him.
If you're gonna go shoot up a store, do you care what the gun rules are?
No,
where responsible gun owners?
Where did he get the gun?
Well, you can go to a country where guns are illegal for the citizens, and you can get a gun if you try hard enough. That's just the way it is. Criminals aren't gonna adhere to any gun law. It doesn't really matter.
Right.
In my opinion, I personally think the Second Amendment is a good thing for our country, and everybody I know obviously is a responsible gun owner that.
But there's guns. So many people that aren't. How can they make it better so this stops happening? This is crazy.
Well, I would say probably mental health is the bigger thing.
Yeah.
We live in it, and that's all over the world, but I think in the U.S. there's probably a lot of undiagnosed or untreated mental health, and who knows what happened here.
Sure.
Obviously any shooting is insane, but I guess I would disagree with I don't know what you're saying necessarily, but gun laws aren't going to stop
I don't
psychos.
See needs for guns, but whatever.
I don't see a need for a gun, but if you don't have a gun the one time you need a gun, you're going to be like, oh, now I see a need for it. That's my opinion.
Well, if there is a one time that I don't need a gun and they take my life, okay. I don't know. I just don't expect that to happen in my life.
Well, I didn't expect to fracture my pelvis. Next thing you know, I fractured.
That's a different story. That's an accident. Accidents happen all the time. Well, actually, so do gun shootings. They happen all the time in the States.
Yeah.
I don't know what other countries' gun rules are, and I'm not saying we shouldn't have guns. I don't understand how come we can't come up with a better plan for guns?
Here's my thing is if we could trust government, we would need guns. But government cannot be trusted. You agree with that, I assume.
Trusted for what, though?
To do the right thing. Whether it's left or right. I personally, I mean, government, politicians cannot be trusted. And
they lie a lot, but whatever. I mean,
But that's why we have
that's
why we have
political,
guns.
And I'm not trying to go that way. It's just so tragic. But so many people keep doing and saying things like, "When will this end?" When it's like, probably never.
It's like saying, when will we stop having wars?
Right.
I mean, probably never.
Yeah.
And then you look at like, well, who starts a war? Well, Dick Cheney started. I mean, I would argue with the weapons of mass destruction lie and stuff like that. That's one example. I think you and I are not on any side politically, because I personally believe all politicians are. Everything's controlled by money, and so most of everything probably is a big scam. I don't know the ins and outs of the political world, but yeah, I mean, it'd be great if we lived in a utopia. I'd say that.
I don't know. It's just so sad, and that people keep dying, and it's just crazy.
Yeah, it's crazy when it happens close to home, like in Bend.
It's really mind-blowing. I don't really even know what to say or how to feel about it, besides just that I feel so sorry for the people surrounding it. And now, what if we had moved to Bend? Like, what would we do? Like, would we feel comfortable going to
what if I was there
stores
shopping for sugar cookie ingredients? How stupid would I feel? Because it's like, oh man, the one time I was out shopping for sugar cookie ingredients, that's when I run into a mass shooter. Then again, you could say, well, what if I had a gun? Maybe I could have done something.
But you wouldn't have a gun on you to go get sugar cookie ingredients.
Well, I don't know. I mean, sugar cookies are serious business, so I can't say what I would have done.
Yeah, I don't know. There's not a lot of good answers to any of this,
not.
But it's just so. It's really frustrating. I have a lot of friends overseas from living overseas for so long, and a lot of people are like, "Oh my gosh, your country is just so messed up, and why do they allow this?" And we have a ton of Canadian friends as well. They're just across the border who are like, get it together. Like, why do we have such an issue with it? Nowhere else does.
I don't know if that's true or not.
Well,
I mean, we don't see news from other countries as much as we see news from our own.
Well, I guess it's all the people that I hear from. So Australians,
yeah, I mean, obviously it's
New
different
Zealanders, a lot of people in Europe. I can't really compare to. I don't think this is happening in China, but I just can't really compare to everywhere. Of course,
here's something though. If a lot of Canadians will say, oh, your healthcare system is so screwed up, but it's but they have tons of issues. I mean, some people can't get this necessary surgeries for years up in Canada because of their healthcare. So it's I think it all comes down to politics. If it's kind of we could spend all this money we waste on military and huge defense budgets and all this stuff to solve pretty much every problem in the world. I assume there's so much money just blown by governments, whether it's our government or a different government. So, I mean, at the end of the day,
I agree with that for sure. So much money.
We can go back and forth on, all this stuff, but I think ultimately it comes down to the fact that us common folk, everyday people, we need to see ourselves as we are all in this together, and ultimately, we can't. My view is we can't really align ourselves with people in high positions of power. They don't relate to us, and we pretty much, I think, all want the same thing. We all want to feel safe in our communities. We all want to feed. We all want to help other people. And I go out into the world, and I'm not on my phone, or I'm not watching the news, and I'm disconnected from that. Everybody I meet. Occasionally you find someone in a bad mood, whatever. But everyone I meet is everyone's friendly. I don't know what your beliefs are, but everyone's friendly. We travel all over the country. We travel to Mexico. We travel to Canada, and for the most part, I mean, really, everyone seems to want the same thing. And I think, I don't know what it is about power, but it definitely corrupts, and money corrupts. And I think striving to build wealth is fine. We're doing that. We want to be able to provide a great life for our kids and do cool things and share it with the Van fam. But I think there's something that happens with power where it just corrupts, and it's where, and then we bicker over all these issues that, it's like almost like stuff to keep us, let the common people bicker about these different issues, but let's ignore the big, the things that are probably causing everyone's problems. And it's not Republicans and Democrats, it's people above that level.
Yeah. Ooh.
A big kick? Big kick? How about a kick sound effect? Ooh. Okay, there we go.
You guys
kick
were
sound
on
effect.
live yesterday. We now have a kick sound effect because that was a big one.
You totally derailed us and got us so political there. I don't want you to do that anymore. But anyways, I guess we did cover that, but there was a hero in Bend, Oregon, and I'll read his name one more time. Donald Ray Surratt Jr. Likely saved more lives today, and unfortunately he lost his life. So that's someone in Bend, Oregon that's an Oregonian we can be
just
proud
like
of.
A Sunday night shopping. Like who else does there? So many people shop on a Sunday.
Crazy.
It had to have been packed.
Yeah, we don't know. Here's a cool topic that gets us into a lighter subject is the Love is Blind.
First off, why don't we tell the story about when we were watching the Love is Blind show?
So
we're
occasionally,
going to be real honest with you guys. This is pretty embarrassing.
Occasionally we watch shows on a phone in the center console, and I mostly listen to it if I'm driving, and it's a good way to pass time while you're cruising around.
To be honest, I don't even think we put something on when I'm driving. No, I don't feel that comfortable with it.
We would never do that. You would be. I mean, this is as bad as we ever want it to get. But we were so into the Love is Blind on Netflix season 2 that we were getting late into the night, and we were in Twin Falls, Idaho. We were like, we'll stay in Twin Falls for the night on our way back to Oregon. The day we found out we were pregnant.
Yeah, the day we found out.
The day before, I guess. But anyways, we take the exit ramp off the highway, and we're turning, and we're just on the main road going into Twin Falls, and all of a sudden, all the power in the van cuts out, and we're like, what the heck? We're always on edge at that time because the van had just had an issue a couple months ago.
So we had just pulled off an on-ramp onto, but it was a
main
highway.
Road. It was it was like a small highway.
It was like a 6-lane.
Yeah, it was big
with a turning thing in the middle. I mean, it was a big, very interstate.
Luckily, I was able to get off with enough coasting power to get off to the side.
And there was nobody coming up behind us. Like, it wasn't like a dangerous situation. But yeah, it was late at night. It was dark, and it was freezing.
Middle of February, or end of February.
But like actually, definitely
1 degree.
Yeah, and like not icy roads by any means, but like if you something got wet outside, it'd be frozen real quick. Anyways.
Well, we ran out of gas because we were watching the show, and some police officers helped us, and we've told that story before.
Dan was like, we could see a gas station, but it's still pretty far, so Dan was going to jump on his bike, and we do have a little gas can in the van, but that would have been a cold journey. Yeah. So the really, really nice police officers came and helped us out. State
troopers, actually. But anyways, we were watching Love is Blind. That's the meat of this story, yes. And that's a really good show, but basically the two people from season 2, the two couples that got married, are now separated.
So this article is just really interesting to me, mainly because how Dan and I met. I guess I kind of gave up on the idea of meeting somebody in person for a long time because
really?
I didn't meet anyone interesting for years and years. And I wasn't looking, but I still didn't even meet somebody worthy of talking to in person.
Wow.
For the entire for like 5 years. But the thing is so this show is it's made for entertainment. There's no like scientists behind it, but what they're trying to do is prove that you can love somebody, without, you don't see them. So these people like date each other behind a wall, and you don't get to see if they are the height or the hair color, the eye color, or the body build that you envision yourself, the person you...
So they take attraction out of it.
Right.
Physical attraction.
Right.
And they put it all into the emotional attraction.
Yeah.
The emotional connection.
For sure. And I have definitely been interested in somebody who's at least been funny, and like I can put aside...
You like funny guys?
Like funny guys.
I'll make you laugh. I got a few jokes up my sleeve.
But it's just interesting. It was interesting to watch how the show would go, and then they met, and there's one particular couple where I think the gal is gorgeous, and the guy just kept saying how he didn't find her attractive at all. Remember Shake? And
yeah.
Anyway, and she realized that and decided not to marry him, and so the couples that did get married went through with everything, which out of 6, I think there were 2, and they are now divorced.
Boo-hoo. Boo-hiskers, as I would say.
Interesting. I mean, don't you think?
Well, I personally, my philosophy on dating is I think we live in a society today where so many men are afraid to approach. And I actually taught myself how to do cold approaches on the street in Portland when I was in my mid-20s. And that was one of the most valuable experiences of my life, where I would learn, okay, how can I come off as normal and not like creep girls out, and start a conversation and not have it be where it's awkward and like where they're like, oh, I got to get away from this guy. So me and a friend learned how to do this and got quite good at it. And I met a lot of really cool girls that way and went on a lot of dates. And this was like at the time when I was like, okay, I feel this desire to date, but the internet is not producing for me. And I'm like having to like, I'm super against internet dating for myself, because for some reason, I just feel like I was not being seen, I guess. And I think a lot of people feel that way. So this was a skill set that completely changed my dating life. And those skills that I learned doing that, like being able to talk to girls, have normal conversations, instead of walking up to a girl and be like, oh my God, she's so pretty. Like, how do I do it? I'm falling apart. I learned to control my emotions and have a conversation and create physical attraction through conversation, which is a very valuable skill. And I think it's a skill that's not very common these days amongst men. And so that ultimately...
Why don't you share what you would say to these women?
It wasn't a script, The first thing I would say is I would kind of like from a probably 10 feet before they got to me, like I would be like making eye contact with them, like, hey, like, and so I wouldn't just be like jumping out in front of them, but
Yeah.
They would see me come, they'd be like, what the heck's going on? And I'd say, hey, sorry, I just saw you and I thought that you looked really nice. Just super basic. So they're like, oh, because you want someone to know why you're stomping them right away,
Yeah.
So immediately she would know, like, oh, this is like a kind of a unique situation,
Yeah.
and he stopped me because I look really nice.
And probably because that is so rare. These women
For sure.
are so, that's so flattering. I've rarely... Shoot, I'll get all dressed up, go out with my girlfriends, whatever. We don't have
You'll
people
never have a
telling
guy
us
do that.
No.
You'll have drunk guys at bars come up and like
Yeah.
try and do weird stuff, and that
Yeah,
just
and
never
by then
works.
it's like creepy, and you're like, I'm
Yeah.
here with my friends. I'm not interested in
And
meeting you. But it's just interesting because you gave something that's just so rare. Mm-hmm. Anyway, carry on.
Yeah, well, and maybe some people will hear this and be like, oh, that sounds creepy. I can tell you that when you get good at it, every interaction I ever had was so positive. Like whether I left with your phone number or we went on an instant date or whatever whatever happened, the conversation was, I would always leave it with a positive thing. And you learn to check your ego at the door, and you learn to say like, it's so valuable. Like if I have a son, I really hope I can impart this skill onto him. But the only way to gain this skill is to get your feet wet and get out into the trenches and do it during the daytime. You can do it at night too, but like during the daytime, is such a valuable skill to learn. But ultimately, it's what led me to be able to confidently and almost easily see a girl like you, who I'm like, oh, I feel like I have a physical connection, or I guess I see you and I'm, you kind of judge, you kind of are supposed to look at like, oh, I see her, and like immediately I can kind of feel that I need to go approach her. And that's kind of this part of the skill, is like acting on your instincts. And so when I met you, it was like the first night
the amount
I met
of stuff
you and
that
I'm
came
like
out of his mouth,
doing
I
all
could
these
tell
weird
that this guy
things.
was very well versed. I'm like, this guy does this to everybody. Get away from me. You overdid it. Just
well, I was just having fun. I mean, I wasn't trying to do anything. I was just having fun with you. And you're such a sucker that you fell for it. No, but I mean,
I tell people this story and they're like, oh my gosh, what a psycho. To me, it was hilarious. I didn't find it creepy, but I was like, okay, that'll do. Get out of here, dude. But I left that night because I was like, I don't want any more of it from him. I mean, I was just sincerely
I wasn't like chasing you around.
No. But I was just in a position, I was feeling, I really had just ended a relationship basically, and was just not,
right.
Just didn't want anyone else coming in.
Right.
But it was just because I say that story to a lot of my friends and they're like, that guy sounds like a psycho. And it's like, it was actually really flattering. Some of it was flattering. Some of it was so ridiculous. It was an obvious lie, but it made me laugh. And
right.
It's just funny because it's like all the guys that I've told, I mean, I can remember one time in particular, I told there were 8 guys I was skiing with, and I told them all the story, and they were all just like, no way. And I'm like, yeah, try it. Do it to some girls. See what happens.
Yeah, you can't just hear that and go do it.
Yeah.
It's one, but I guess to get back to dating, I think so many women feel helpless because there's so few men approaching and so few men crafting this skill set of how can I be a gentleman and how can I make a woman feel special, but also not have to just kind of sit back and be passive with the internet dating. I felt such a lack of control when I was using apps that I just truly, they didn't work for me. And so I took a proactive approach, and it ended up being quite valuable life lesson. I learned life skills from it, not just how to talk to girls, but how to talk to people. And so for me, Love is Blind is kind of just more entertainment, obviously, and I think it's entertainment for everybody. But I personally don't. I'm not surprised to see these couples get divorced because it's not really how human nature works. It's a nice idea, though, to say oh, you don't need to see someone physically. And that's probably true. There's a lot of arranged marriages that there's been studies done on arranged marriages, and people are extremely happy after 50 years. But when they first saw each other, it was oh, great. Oh, this isn't what I wanted for my life. But I think in this instance, it's just not really.
I mean, it's quite
great.
Different than an arranged marriage because your family picks out.
Right.
In a lot of situations,
that was
your
just an
family
example.
picks it out. But yeah, I mean, these people still pick each other out. They just don't know what each other looks like. And to be honest, if I did the Love is Blind thing and I met a guy who was hilarious and I thought that I fell for him and then saw him in person, and this is so shallow of me, but he was really short or
oh gosh,
sorry, that's so shallow, but I'm being completely honest here.
Yeah, be
or
radically
he was
honest.
I'm not so concerned about looks, but if I didn't feel like I could be protected, let's say he was just a lot smaller than me and I didn't feel like he could protect me in a time of need, that's really important to me.
Exactly.
I don't think I could have gone through with it, unfortunately.
That's a fundamental female desire.
Yeah, and I didn't need somebody 6'3". You
just got lucky.
I just I don't feel secure if I don't have, if I'm.
Well, of course, that's
I'm not
one thing.
Smaller, I guess.
I mean, when you talk about height, it was I put 6'3" on my dating profile, and it's that scored me points, and it's such a dumb thing. And there's so many guys that are 5'10" or whatever, 5'8". and that immediately knocks
Such
them
a
down. But they
bummer
could
for
be
them.
such great. They probably
sure.
are in the normal circumstances really cool people.
And
But it's such a meat market online. I really, really think. I mean, I personally think social media has had mostly negative effects on everyone. That's why I prefer to create long form content where you kind of tell a story and it's a lot more work and it's a lot harder and requires more creativity than like short little like an Instagram post or something. But I think overall, but when it comes to online dating, it has severely crippled the dating. And, you know, Elon Musk says one of the biggest threats to humanity is population collapse. And I mean, that's why, you know, to go back to like the dating skill I learned, I could have kept dating but eventually like I feel this now, and I'm glad I am where I am, because it's like I'm ready to move on with life. I'm ready to, you know, start a family and do that instead of just, if you had talked to me in my mid-20s, I would have been like, oh, all I want to do is I never want to get married. I just want to meet girls and just, you know, have a bunch of, you know, have different crazy experiences with different girls and all this stuff, you know, like meet girls in different countries using that skill. Like that was the ultimate goal. But what I really got from it was the ability to confidently meet a girl in, you know, I guess to perform in the moment when it really counted is what I got from it. And so it's like, well, then one night, you know, you show up in my life and it's like, you were going to leave a few days after that and you ended up staying for a month longer. So it's like, you know, we made that connection and that kind of helped foster what might not have actually happened between us. But so I think it's like I learned that skill and it was valuable because in the moment when I needed it most, it worked for me and it helped me.
Going back to that, how long did I tell you I was going to?
I don't know, like a couple days, a week or something. Yeah. You were going to be in town for
That's
another
funny.
week. So I think, I think Love is Blind is pure entertainment. And I really hope this skill is something you can learn on YouTube, on the internet. That's where I learned it.
I told Dan to create a course for it. I thought he had
and there's
course.
a million courses for dating out there. And you just have the real course is going out and doing it. And I think I had a friend, a good friend of mine to this day, who also has his first kid on the way a few months after us. But I know he's got the same skill, and I know he can use that skill in life. But I really think having a friend with you to like push you and to say, no, you have to go approach that girl, because approach anxiety is a crazy thing. It's like, anxiety is anxiety, and we've all felt that. But when you have someone that's like, no, you have to go do it. You know, I saw your eyes light up when you saw her. That's what makes going out and learning the skill a lot more fun. So if you're out there and you're listening to this, that's how I would suggest. But I know there's, you know, I feel bad for the state of the dating world at this moment, because every relationship I've had that's meant something, I've met the person in like just through my everyday activities.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. I have a handful of people in my life who I think are literally some of the best people in the world that I've ever met. And they just can't seem to find anyone. And I had a 1.5 year relationship just before Dan with somebody that I met online. And I didn't think anything was ever going to come from online. I was actually just trying to make friends. I was in a new place. I was, you know, whatever. And then that happened, and I thought it was really cool. And I thought we would be together a lot longer. And anyway, he still used the dating apps, which is why it ended. But
he was using the dating apps while you were dating. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that's never good.
But like all of my, you know, these, let's say 5 women that I can think of off the top of my head without even trying, and I'm very close with. I love them to absolute bits. I think the worlds of them. I think they would be fantastic partners.
Do you hate them?
I just don't, like, I don't know if they're ever, like, are they going to find people who, you know, if...
Life works in mysterious ways.
I just...
I think ultimately if you feel helpless one of the most, and especially like if you're a woman and you're like, and this is just my take as a man, but if you're a woman and you feel like you don't ever get like approached and your only avenue is the dating apps, I would personally suggest, like, for me, like getting into kiting, a hobby that I'm really into, that I travel for, super passionate about, is another way, like instead of like just hoping that you meet a guy that a guy comes and approaches you, and instead of like waiting on the apps to work, being passionate about something that you really get into, and you're not there to meet someone, but you're there because you love the sport or you love the activity or whatever it is, that is a really good way to meet people. And so,
but I will say that, like, I was like, I'll just meet somebody through skiing, because skiing was my number one sport. It still is, but it's like, it was my number one focus in life. And I was like, I'll just meet somebody who skis whenever, I'm in no rush. I was just happy doing my thing. And I never did. But what I have to say is, but then I did in kiting, right? But I do have a number of people in my life who have incredible marriages with somebody they met online.
Yeah,
so
of course. I'm not saying like the internet doesn't work. It totally works. I've seen it with people in my life. It just doesn't work for me, like I said. But the thing with skiing, just to like you can say, oh, go get into an activity and you'll meet someone. That's a good way to meet someone. I think when it comes to like a huge activity, like let's say I'm like, go, get obsessed with golf and you'll meet someone that way. It's like you have to, if it's a big thing, like kiting is niche. And so I know people all over the world, because the kiting community is so small, and we meet up in these there's only so many places and so many times a year to get really good wind. So if it's a big sport or a big activity, you have to get into like a subgroup. So maybe you like join a club at a certain golf course or something, or you're like in a ski team, a recreational ski team, something like that. But an activity is a good way to not have to rely on the apps. And so we went off on, this is all Love is Blind's fault that we went into this tangent. So guys, we have this week's podcast and next week's podcast. The whole thing is going to be free on Spotify, iTunes, YouTube, wherever you watch or listen. And then after that, the first half is going to be free, and the second half will be premium on Patreon. So our Patreon is just patreon.com/Allie and Dan. You can find us there. We have a bunch of different tiers to choose from. They all get you the same thing. It's just a matter of how much you want to pledge to support, and we appreciate that so much. I mean, talking about our channel and how many different ways there are to make money on doing YouTube, for us not to just have to rely on views is such an important thing. And so having Patreon and brand deals and whatever else we've used to kind of make ends meet doing this, Patreon's really important for us.
Yeah.
And that's why we started the podcast.
Yeah. We really like Patreon, and this is you're right, another way that we wanted to show them our gratitude for being part of our Patreon. Yeah,
to put something out there that is like, oh, if I subscribe to Patreon, I can listen to the full podcast. And that's what I like about Patreon. And that's the only Patreons I'm subscribed to are people that do like a podcast where it's like, maybe it's half free or half not, or the whole podcast is on Patreon. But you get like something that you look forward to every week. And so hopefully if you're joining Patreon because of the podcast, that would be awesome, because that means doing the podcast has really brought some value to your life. And I know that we've gotten so much better at the podcast in the last month that we've been here in McCall since we started it. I'm super happy we're doing it.
Yeah, I really like it. I thought, oh, that sounds so difficult to start all of this. Well, Dan's doing all the back work, so thank you.
I mean, it's really easy. You got a camera, a couple mics, and you're good to go. You don't have to have the best stuff. Yeah. You don't have to have the nicest equipment to do this. So we've just crossed the hour mark. So that is episode 4 of the Allie and Dan podcast in the books. Please, if you're on YouTube, leave us a comment. Smash the like button.
Rate and review us on Apple and Spotify, please.
Please,
wherever
please.
you're listening to us. We just appreciate it so much, and we look forward to seeing you soon.
Next Tuesday.
Yeah, next Tuesday.
Okay, guys. Adios.
And if you have any ideas or topics you think we should discuss, leave them in the comments, and we'll be happy to do that next week.
Always, always. See you guys in a week on the podcast.
Thanks, guys. Bye-bye.